Heroes is potentially one of the oldest examples of a anime deck doing relatively well and receiving incredible amounts of support. So the hero archetype in general is the most supported archetype in the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh! And in recent times, they have actually been somewhat competitive. They've been keeping up with the meta. Now, that may be because they contain a number of key answers to a lot of the things that the meta is doing. In particular, you have Dark Law and Plasma. Now, there is also the Dark Angel, which people are playing, and it is definitely a good card. However, the Dark Angel strategy has been massively hurt by the existence of Bestials. So the Dark Angel, we actually weren't even playing it purely because of Bestials, right? And that's unfortunately, a Bestials just sort of kills this part of the deck. So we decided not to play that. But I was very pleasantly surprised by how effective the deck was, even just summoning the likes of Plasma and Dark Law. Its ability to play through a bunch of interruptions, going second with, you know, your triple hero lives. You've got a lot of search power, you've got a lot of special summoning and searching and everything, so the deck can actually play through a number of interruptions quite well and can dish out more than a few of its own, especially these big powerful floodgates. So I've got a few games I want to show off. We're going to talk about the deck towards the end of the video, so absolutely, if you're interested in things like this, make sure you subscribe to catch things in the future as they're coming out. Like the video if you enjoy watching. Let's get into game one. Alrighty, getting into game one here. We have a pretty solid hand, but we are going second, and look at that for a turn. Activate Labyrinth, set 4, and pass. Alright, let's see what happens. We're going to start off, we draw Maxi, which is actually somewhat fortunate here. We're going to special summon out Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. Now, our opponent's going to go for Welcome Labyrinth here. Of course, we need to remember Welcome Labyrinth does have a built-in pop now because of the field spell. So while we are going to get to search our deck for Mass Change, we are also going to have our Shadow Mist destroyed. Very unfortunate, but we do draw into another copy of A Hero Lives, as well as searching for Mass Change. So we're going to use the second copy of A Hero Lives to summon out Stratos. Stratos then will search our deck for Liquid Soldier, then we're going to summon the other Stratos to search for another hero. We're going to grab Honest Neos this time. We're going to drop Liquid Soldier to grave for Ferris. Ferris going to activate, setting the increase to the field. Increase tributing Ferris to summon itself. Then it's going to activate to summon a Vision Hero Vion. Very standard hero plays here. We're going to mill Malicious. Now we're going to use Vion, banish Ferris, search Poly. So we've got a pretty solid hand here. Now we're going to activate Polymerization. He's going to go for Dimensional Barrier, locking us out of Fusion Summoning, but we are going to quickly chain to that our Mass Change, tagging out our increase for a Dark Law. And there is the Skill Drain as well. So we're playing into Skill Drain with Labyrinth here. Now, we are still going to summon Dark Law, but it does mean, of course, our Dark Law is negated. It would have been negated by Dimensional Barrier anyways. We're going to swing in Stratos, discard Honest Neos, Babu Stop, taking out the lady, swinging for 18, swinging for 1,000, swinging for 24, and our opponent's flipping up Rivalry of Warlords. Doesn't hurt us. Not going to stop us. We're going to set a card face down and pass, and I don't believe our opponent sticks around for very much longer. There you go. Play through set 4 against Labyrinth. Like, what more do you want? Against D-Barrier as well. Pretty solid. Honest Neos putting in work, and Honest Neos will consistently put in work. I think the value of Honest Neos has increased quite dramatically given the shift of the meta to a much slower sort of playstyle. Sometimes you just need that extra little bit boost up to create the simplified game state in which heroes excel. So that's game number 1. Let's get into game 2. Alrighty, getting into game 2 here, we've got a pretty decent hand overall. I don't really like seeing Miracle Fusion there, but other than that, it's pretty golden. We're going to grab Shadow Mist here off of Stratos. Ferris then dropping Shadow Mist to the grave is going to summon itself. They're going to grab an increase from the deck, while Shadow Mist is going to search our deck for a card. So pretty decent start here at the very beginning. We're going to grab another Stratos since we haven't yet used our normal summon. Our increase going to tribute off Ferris, going to summon itself. Increase then going to grab Vion directly from the deck. Vion going to mill a Liquid Soldier since we already have Fusion Destiny to send Malicious. We're going to grab Poly here by banishing Ferris. Going to activate Miracle Fusion, fusing the two monsters in the graveyard into increase. Now here on our sort of turn 1, we're looking at the field. We're going to aim for Plasma, right? Plasma seems to be the play. And in order to do that, again, Plasma is only 1900. It's not that tough to get over. So the Sunrise is going to act as a sort of boost and a bodyguard to our Plasma. That's the whole idea and why we're still going into it, even though we already have Miracle Fusion. Gonna draw 2, discard 1 off of Liquid Soldier. Tribute 3, get them all out of here, going into Plasma. We're going to go Stratos here. Stratos grabbing our Honest from the deck. Now we're going to go Fusion Destiny. He's going to go Drissworm in response to the Fusion Destiny. Now that is totally fine. I personally, if I were him, would have waited. But ultimately, it's not going to matter. And let me show you why. So now we're going to take Plasma. We're going to take the Drissworm, suck it up, grabbing the Drissworm. So now it is ours. It's going to provide a pretty big boost to our Plasma here. Plasma is going to be a bit of a nightmare for our opponent to get past. They're going to go for the Perlinio field spell. We're going to pop it off of DPE. They don't get a search. Now they're going to go Siren here. We're going to activate Maxi in response to the Siren. We do, of course, still have the field away negate with the Plasma. You cannot search for anything, send anything off of your cards. They're going to go Agido, Rhinoheart, all of these big cards to the graveyard. Going to mill 5 off of the Agido. Going to grab Havness from the deck off of the Sulliek that they sent. They're going to normal the Rhinoheart. Rhinoheart, of course, is negated by the Plasma. They're going to use these to go into Tame, Thief, Redoer. Redoer, of course, it activates its effect, but it's also negated, so I don't know what he thought he was planning. And just like that, we wrap it up. Nothing he could have done. Again, the Plasma is a huge problem for Tearlament because what are they going to do about it? The only real out that they have is Sulliek. Sulliek is now limited to 1. He sent his to the graveyard. If you can deal with Sulliek, they cannot deal with you. And Plasma is a perfect example of that. And this isn't even with Darklaw. Darklaw is a million times more oppressive against Tearlaments. So there you go. Just wanted to show it off against an actual registered tier 1 top tier best deck in the game. Let's get into game 3. Now let us not forget that Heroes is still a rogue deck and suffers from rogue deck syndrome. While it does have counters to some of the top decks in the game, it can also be very easily countered by some of the top decks in the game, and going second is a very good example of that. Heroes can be built in a myriad of ways, but usually players are put in a position where they need to choose between going first and going second in terms of the deck building screen. You can't always have a good deck that does both. So right now, our opponent's milling a bunch of our cards. They're milling some of our useful targets, such as Increase and our last remaining Vion, which means all of our Ferris players are now out the window. Ferris is now dead. They're going to go for Scream. They got that Royal Rare Kikalos. They got the Royal Field Spell. They got the Royal Rhinoheart. This man is an absolute simp for Tearlaments. They're going to go Rhinoheart and Scream and Kikalos. Going to mill approximately 4 million cards. And then they're going to search their deck for yet another one. So they're going to mill 5, mill 3, and then mill 1. They got 12 cards left in deck already. Merely activating, shuffling back 3 to go into the Kaleido Heart. Kaleido Heart, of course, doesn't have a target, but that's not going to stop him from going into Tame Thief Redoer to set up for an additional Fusion Summon here, activating its effect, sending the Siren to grave, so Siren can Fusion Summon into Grapha, Dragon Overlord of Dark World. Grapha finding itself a nice little home in the majority of Tearlament decks. They already play King of the Swamp. In fact, there's a lot of Tearlament players who are playing even more Fusion Substitute monsters because of Grapha, and I don't blame them. This card is dope. So let's continue on, and let's see if we can break this board. We draw another Mass Change, which is interesting. It's actually going to come up here, as you'll see. We're going to start with Vion. Vion activating. That's going to trigger off the Scream here. That's fine. We're going to preemptively try to get rid of Vion so we can summon out Darklaw and banish the cards that are milled off of Scream. That's the plan anyway. Let's see if it works out. We're going to summon out the Darklaw, going to banish the top 3 off his deck, which is pretty dope. We're going to send Shadow Mist to the grave off of our Vion. Shadow Mist going to get activating in the grave. They're going to go Meta Noise to flip our Darklaw face down. Now we're going to go for Mass Change, replacing one Darklaw with another. They're going to activate Snow in grave. Snow's going to resummon itself out to the field here. Now, Snow will, of course, not flip this Darklaw face down. It's not going to prevent us from doing this, but once we summon our new one, he's now going to get the opportunity to use the Fairy Tail Snow to flip our new Darklaw face down. Now they're going to go for Maxi. They were holding off on it for some reason. We're going to go Poly here, fusing away 3 monsters into Trinity. Our plan is, so long as he can't stop this, this is a Heal Miri of Heal Miris. We're going to go into Trinity. Trinity's going to activate, but boosting its attack up to 4,500. We have the Honest Neos. 25 onto the 45 is going to give us 7,000 attack and 3 attacks. If we attack over Redoer, we attack over Snow, we attack over either Kaleido Heart or Grapha, that is game. That is easy, lethal damage. All we need is for this to resolve. Liquid Soldier here is going to activate. That's actually going to proc the Grapha, which means he doesn't have that negate for Honest Neos. We're looking optimistic here. We're looking hopeful. We're going to drop the triple tactics talent from the hand. Unfortunately, the last remaining card in his hand was Sulliek. Now, him negating our effect is bad enough, but the card he decides to pitch off of Sulliek is, of course, the Snow. Snow then banishing 7 cards, coming back, flipping down our Trinity yet again, and at that point, we accept the L. It was a Hail Mary among Hail Marys, but you know what? We went for it, we fired our shot, and unfortunately, we missed. It happens. Sometimes you just gotta go for it. Very well played from our opponent again. Nice to see Grapha finding a nice little niche in Tearlament. I absolutely love that card, so I can't be too mad at him. Let's get into the deck profile. Alrighty, so Heroes. Heroes is definitely a favorite of many fans, and for a long time it was mine as well. I have sort of grown a little bit weary of the deck in recent times. Its playstyle and strategy hasn't really evolved much to match the meta, however, it still remains niche because its particular set of skills, if you will, matches what needs to be done in the meta to succeed. So fair enough, it has its niche. So let's cut down the fluff for now. What are we playing in terms of flex spots? We got the triple Maxi, we got triple Ash Blossom, we've got the double Call by the Grave, we've got the Crossite Designator, and we've got triple Forbidden Droplet. This is a very popular choice in a lot of hero decks, and it's not difficult to see why. The deck does want to put up interruptions as much as it possibly can, and if it can negate your entire board and then put up lethal damage in the form of Wake Up Your Elemental Hero or Vision Hero Trinity, then it absolutely will do so, and it will beat your ass. So Droplet, it's easy to see why they play Droplet. Getting into the main deck, let's break this up into segments. Let's talk about Vision Heroes first, for people who are unfamiliar with the Vision Hero cards. We're going to start with Ferris. We play with Ferris, Vion, and Increase. Ferris is the starter of this engine. Ferris, you can discard another hero card to special summon this card out to the field, and if it's summoned, you get to place a Vision Hero into your spell and trap card zone as a continuous trap card. Very unique interaction. What are you actually doing with that effect? Well, you're going to be placing Increase into your spell and trap card zone. This card, so long as it's treated as a trap card, can actually tribute a hero monster on your field to summon itself. And when this card is summoned through its own effect, you then get to summon another level 4 or lower Vision Hero directly from your deck. What are you going to summon? Well, the Vion. Vion, when summoned, is going to send a hero monster directly from your deck to the graveyard. So there you go, on summon, Foolish Burial. It also has another effect that allows you to banish a hero monster from your graveyard to search your deck for polymerization. So this card generates a ton of value, and Vion is a 1.5 card way of getting into it without even using up your normal summon, which means you can do this after searching for Ferris off of a Stratos. Makes it relatively consistent, absolutely. So that's the Vision Hero package. We're running 2 poly because of that, because it can be very easily searched off of Vion, and you don't really mind opening it. It's fine in the opening hand. So yeah, 2 poly is just fine due to the Vision Hero engine. Let's talk about Elemental Heroes. We got double Stratos, we've got double Shadow Mist, we have Liquid Soldier, and we have Honest Neos. Stratos is one of the best normal summons in your deck. It on summons going to search your deck for a hero monster and add it to your hand, or it can destroy spells or traps up to the number of other hero monsters you control. Pretty versatile effects, and luckily it's not once per turn, which means you can special summon this card off of a hero lives, for example, and then still normal summon your second copy. As you saw in the gameplay, we did exactly that. So the fact that it's not once per turn is pretty amazing. A hero lives, I guess we're going to lump into the elemental hero package because it can only summon heroes. A hero lives will basically special summon any level 4 or lower elemental hero straight from the deck at the cost of half your life points. So being able to special Stratos off of that is of course amazing because you get to search your deck for another hero. Another really good target off of a hero lives is going to be Shadow Mist. Shadow Mist has 2 effects, you can only use one of them per turn. Number 1, if it's sent from the field, if it's sent to the graveyard from anywhere basically, you get to search your deck for a hero card. Pretty good effect. Its other effect is arguably better. When this card is special summoned, you get to search your deck for a change quick play spell. Now what is a change quick play spell? That's going to be your mask change. Mask change allows you to target a hero you control and send it to the graveyard in order to special summon a masked hero of the same attribute, which primarily means Dark Law, but it also gives you access to Blast and Acid, which are a couple of alternatives that we're playing depending on your situation. So Shadow Mist is basically able to search for mask change if you were to special summon it off of a hero lives, for example. We have Liquid Soldier, who again has multiple effects. which you can only use one of per turn. On normal summon, you get to target a level 4 lower hero in the graveyard and special summon it. That is another way of proccing Shadow Mist effect, for example. You can also activate Stratos like that, so it is actually a decently useful effect. However, it's more commonly used effect if it's used as fusion material for a hero monster and sent to the grave, or banished. You can draw 2 cards and then discard 1. So it's more useful for its draw effect, but its special summon effect on normal is also pretty awesome. And our last elemental hero card is Honest Neos. Honest Neos is exactly what it says. It's honest, right? You discard this card, target a hero, it gains 2500 attack points. This is more applicable than you think. This card is unironically going to win you games time and time again. So Honest Neos, absolutely at least one of. I think you'd be nuts to play more than one of it, but you definitely need at least one copy of this for sure. That does it for elemental heroes. Into our destiny heroes to finish it off, we've got Denier, double malicious, and a single plasma. Now Denier and malicious are primarily here off of Fusion Destiny. Again, I should lump Fusion Destiny into the destiny hero package. Primarily your destiny hero package exists to summon out your fusion monster, destiny hero, destroyer, phoenix enforcer. And you do so through the spell card Fusion Destiny. You can also just summon it through regular means, which you will do on occasion. But if you can use Fusion Destiny, you will absolutely want to, because this card is monstrous. Basically, you can fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck that mentions a destiny hero as material by sending cards from your hand or deck as materials, but it locks you into dark hero monsters for the rest of the turn, which isn't really that bad of a restriction, but it still locks you out of a couple of plays, so you typically want to leave this until later in your turn. But Fusion Destiny is nuts. And considering this is our primary card for using our destiny heroes, we're using heroes that match. We've got Denier and Malicious. Malicious will banish itself from the graveyard to summon another copy from the deck. Denier will special summon itself from the graveyard if you have another D hero in your grave or field. Then when summoned, will target a destiny hero that's either in your graveyard, banish pile, or deck and put it on top of your deck. So the plan is you banish Malicious to summon Malicious. You then summon Denier. Denier will then put your banished Malicious back on top of the deck, so that when you send your one on the field to the grave again, you get to summon out the one from the deck again, giving you an additional summon. So these are definitely the best targets at the moment to be used off of Fusion Destiny. And then you have Destiny Hero Plasma, which is an insane card, very easily searchable in this deck, that basically while face up, all of your opponent's monster's effects are negated. It is a skill drain on legs. And they're not small legs either, because once per turn you can suck up an opponent's monster and gain half of its attack points, but you can only have one equipped monster at a time. So this card does unironically get pretty big. Its field-wide skill drain of your opponent's field only is insane, and it's pretty easy to summon as well. You summon it by tributing 3 monsters in your field, special summoning, so it's a little bit steep in terms of card advantage cost. But it's a special summon, so it's really not that tough, and it'll more than return its value. Absolutely, this card will win you games by itself. This card's incredible, especially if you back it up with the likes of Elemental Hero Sunrise to help protect it. So Plasma's pretty awesome. And then we got Rhoda for adding any of your level 4 lower warriors to hand. Pretty versatile card. And that marks your entire main deck other than Miracle Fusion, which I forgot to mention. Miracle Fusion, searchable off of Sunrise, basically just fusion summons except with the graveyard. It's the original term where this comes from, Miracle Fusion. Okay, that is the entire main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. We'll start with the Masked Heroes. Masked Hero Darklaw is one of your primary boss monsters. So long as this guy's face up, any card that would be sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. It is like D-Fissure except on steroids. It also, once per turn, if your opponent adds a card from deck to the hand other than drawing it, they can draw it so long as it's not during the draw phase, you can banish a random card in their hand. So you get to snipe one out of their hand, and it's a Macrocosmos on a 2400 body. Pretty awesome. We got Blast, which 2200 attack points. If it's special summoned, have an opponent's monster's attack points, pay 500 life points to quick play, bounce a spell or trap back to their hand. It's not really here for its effects, it's more so here so that if your opponent, let's say you normal summon Elemental Hero Stratos, you activate its effect to search your deck for a hero. It's very important you get the search off and your opponent has an Imperm, a Veiler, a whatever, and they target your Stratos to negate its effects. Well, you're going to use Mass Change to get rid of your Stratos to summon a Blast. Not only do you summon a powerful masked hero, you also get to resolve the effect of your Stratos as it's no longer on the field as a target of the Imperm or Veiler or a Grandmaster or whatever it is that's trying to negate him. Basically, it just acts as protection for your Stratos effect. And Masked Hero Acid is a little bit different though. Masked Hero Acid is here specifically to combo with Elemental Hero Absolute Sub-Zero, or Absolute Zero. So we'll talk about these two as a pair. Elemental Hero Absolute Zero, when this card is sent to the graveyard, or when it leaves the field, let me be more specific, when it leaves the field, all monsters your opponent controls are destroyed. Wipe out all of their monsters. Masked Hero Acid, when summoned, will destroy all of your opponent's spells and traps. And it weakens all monsters they control, but they're not going to control any, because you just nuked all of their monsters off of Absolute Zero, and now you've just nuked all their spells and traps. You've wiped their whole field off of one mass change and the Absolute Zero. So that's why we play Acid, because it sets up this pretty cool sort of board wipe, which doesn't come up super often, but is definitely a very useful tool, especially considering this is a quick play spell. You can do it during your opponent's turn, which is insane. So you may actually even want to go out of your way to try and set that up, because it's a pretty strong combo, even against the likes of Labyrinth. You know, if you wait until the end phase of their first turn, let's say you go first, they go second, wait till the end phase of their turn, flip up Mass Change, bang, wipe the board before they even get a chance to respond. And yeah, it's pretty disgusting. So that's the Masked Heroes for you. Let's talk about the other heroes then. So one of the main ones, of course, we have is Sunrise. This card summoned off of any two heroes with different attributes. On summon, you're going to search your deck for Miracle Fusion, which is pretty awesome. Allows you to go into the likes of Absolute Zero a lot easier. And if an attack is declared involving another hero, you get to target a card in the field and destroy it. Also, all of your monsters gain 200 attack for every different attribute you control. The primary use of this card, other than searching for Miracle Fusion, which is awesome, is to act as battle protection for the likes of Plasma. So with Sunrise and Plasma on the field, your Plasma's attack points are going to be going up to 2300. Just by default, 2300, which is a lot more respectable than the 19 it already has. But 23 can still be gotten over quite easily. So the fact that if your opponent were to attack your Plasma with a monster, then you can use Sunrise's effect to pop a card they control, which could be the problematic monster threatening your Plasma. Of course, with Plasma acting as a field-wide skill drain, it's going to be difficult for your opponent to summon multiple monsters that can potentially out him, meaning your Sunrise is normally enough to keep your Plasma safe. Unless they, of course, have card effects or whatever it is to get rid of him through other means. But it does basically remove one of the primary avenues for the removal of a Plasma, which is just summon a bigger monster and beat it, right? Sunrise makes that significantly more difficult. We have Trinity, which is the definition of beat thine ass. On the turn it's summoned, its attack point goes up to 5,000. Its original attack points are doubled. It can attack up to 3 times, but it cannot attack directly. But this card will absolutely enable lethal play, swinging over 3 of your opponent's monsters for 5,000 apiece. It is tough to survive that hit. Even if your opponent controls 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons and they've all got 3,000 attack points, that's still 2k over each. That's still 6,000 damage. Any other hero and they're dead, or heaven forbid you have Honest Neos in your hand and you boost yourself up to 7,500 over all of their monsters, which is even more disgusting. So Trinity absolutely earns its spot. We have Escuridao, which is a more sort of generic sort of fallback option, an elemental hero plus a dark monster. This is primarily here to put something on board when you otherwise wouldn't be able to. It's more of a desperation play than anything else, where it just puts a beater out where you otherwise would be forced to just like set a Vion, right? So not ideal when you have to go into this card, but it does feel sometimes important to be able to. Because even being able to just put like a Malicious into the graveyard, for example, is sometimes worth doing, right? You might just have cards in your hand, you might not have a way to put Mali in grave, activate Poly, suddenly Malicious is in grave, Escuridao plus Malicious in the Cross Crusader, bang bang bang, suddenly you're playing the game. So it's more of a toolbox card. DPE, everyone knows this card. All of your opponent's monsters lose 200 attack for each hero in the graveyard. Now in this deck in particular, it's going to be a lot of attack points. This is another form of battle protection for your Plasma. So between Sunrise and DPE, battle is out the window. They cannot do it. It can also, once per turn, as a quick effect, destroy 1 card you control and 1 card your opponent controls without targeting, which is pretty awesome. And also, if this card is destroyed, you can activate it to then, during your next standby phase, resurrect any of your Destiny heroes, including himself. So he just comes back every turn. Everyone knows what DPE does. This is a really impactful card. It did fall off pretty hard because of the introduction of the Ishizu cards and then the Bestial cards, So this card has definitely fallen off the radar, but it is no less powerful. Then we got one of the newer cards, Wake Up Your Elemental Hero. Now this is one that I honestly haven't summoned. I haven't used it yet, but I can see the value. You can fuse an Elemental Hero fusion monster and any number of warriors against 300 attack for every material used for its summon. So by default, at minimum, it's going to be 3100, which is pretty big. It can attack monsters your opponent controls up to the number of fusion monsters used for its material. So ideally, it's by minimum 1, of course, because you need to use at least 1 fusion monster. If you use at least 1 other, it's attacking twice, 3 times, and suddenly that scales pretty high and pretty out of control. After damage calculation, if this card battled a monster, destroy that monster and inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. It's got that Flame Wingman effect, except a little bit stronger. If this fusion summoned card is destroyed, special summon a warrior from your hand or deck. Pretty generic card. Again, you probably can make some real serious plays with this last part of its effect, but I haven't summoned it yet. I haven't had the need to summon it yet. So you guys tell me how valuable this card is. We've got Wonder Driver, which basically, if a hero is summoned to a zone it points to, you get the reset, poly, or change quick play spell to the field from the graveyard. Pretty awesome. If it's destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard by card effect, you get to special summon a hero from your hand, which is pretty mediocre. But it's primarily here just to recycle like your poly and mass change. Cross Crusader is one of your primary engine cards. This card summoned using any 2 warriors. When summoned, you can target a Destiny hero engrave and summon it back to the field. You can also tribute a Destiny hero monster to search your deck for any hero. Pretty straightforward stuff. It does lock you in heroes though, which is useful for some hybrids, but it's fine. Basically just search your deck for anything. We got Predaplant for emergency access to Polymerization or Fusion Destiny, primarily Fusion Destiny if you brick and brick hard. Just remember, Ferris and Cross Crusader lock you in the heroes, so you're not going to be able to make a Verte play after summoning those cards, but other than that, you're fine. Verte it's a relatively useful emergency card to have access to. We got the Dread Decimator as our final monster, Link 3. Any hero monster it points to gains 100 attack for every hero with different name in the graveyard, and if it attacks a defensive position monster, it does piercing. So it's not the most menacing monster in the world, but sometimes you just don't have the gas for a fusion summon. Sometimes you just need a big piercing beat stick to boost up your whole field to go for lethal damage, especially with the likes of boosting up a Trinity, boosting up Wake Up Your Elemental Hero. So if you want to boost up these monsters even more, that's where this guy comes in. And that's the full deck. Again, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in heroes. There's going to be people out there who know more than I do. And if you're one of those people, by all means, leave a comment down below letting me know what I missed, what I did wrong, what I said wrong. I know I don't have Dark Angel in, and I know that. I don't have it in because of Bestials. I didn't want to play into the Bestials too hard. You can absolutely play Dark Angel if you want. I'm not telling you not to play it. Go nuts. Play it if you want. That's everything I have to say in the deck. If you enjoyed watching and you got this far, like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.